So it's tough being right-wing these days. Sometimes you're sitting there in Malaysia, flash-banging dogs to your heart's content, pretending to be American so you can grift off idiots. Then the person you simp for most, free speech absolutionist Elon Musk, employs a woman and a member of the WEF as CEO of Twitter, and then censors free speech in Turkey. And you are so far into the simpery, you have to pretend that is a good thing. Sometimes you're happily grifting away, selling traditional values and how everyone should follow you as a shining example for all the trad family values you have. Then your bitch wife releases video footage of you being a weird, effeminate control freak. Sometimes you're just Tim Pool. Now, the thing about the online right-wing community, and I don't know if it's the same in the left-wing circles, I don't have a cock fetish, but if any creator ever speaks out of turn about someone like Tim Pool or Jordan Peterson, the dislikes come flooding in and they start white knighting for them in the comments because these people have bought into the culture war grift hook, line and sinker, and Tim Pool is fighting for the cause of stopping a kid you don't have from being turned trans right in front of your eyes, so long as you subscribe to timcast.com and super chat his podcast. And anyone speaking ill of him is a filthy, degenerate leftist. Some people, and I'm not joking here, when I made my video about Steven Crowder bullying his heavily pregnant wife, were like, I'm gonna need some context here, bro. Like there can never be enough context to justify behaving like this to someone you pretend to love and is carrying your children. It really is funny how the trad family values go out the window when your hero does something that is impossible to justify from the confines of your imaginary worldview. Now don't get me wrong, the left wing is funny with their shenanigans and all, but the online right wing is worse in every single way. Everything is a grift. It's all just hammering the same point over and over and over again. So your outrage donate, and it has legit hypnotized a lot of people into believing it's all true. Like, I make videos because I think it's funny. I don't really care about the subject too much unless it's something really serious. But if anyone on the right is telling you they care about women's sports because of Leah Thomas, they're lying. No one in the history of this planet has ever cared about women's sports and never will unless queens like Leah are allowed to compete. And thankfully, it seems like more people are getting into the noticing business. As someone who I have been quite critical of in the past, The Quartering went nuclear on Twitter last night and started going at the top corporation of grifting, the Daily Wire. Oy vey, eh? Here he is replying to one of those people who I find by far and away the worst type of artists on the right. The, why are we infighting, guys? Let's all stick together. Like everyone should be one giant hive mind or something. How did that work out for you the last time that happened on a large scale, eh, buddy? So he replies that the Daily Wire is controlled opposition and they are worse than CNN because they pretend to care about you. And it is hard to argue with that viewpoint. Then he shits on Tim Pool and his nonsense civil war grift and his disgust for people with just being poor and unable to drop their entire lives and just buy a huge compound in the middle of nowhere. And my favourite, because anyone who's been on the internet for longer than 5 minutes like myself cannot understand why this person is allowed to pretend to be right-wing. Candace Owens, explaining that she is a moron, correct, and she's 100% a fraud and people should take 4 minutes to look into her past. Well, let me do that for you. Candace Owens is yet another woman who was left-wing, very much like Tim Pool's website editor, who found the grift was greener on the other side and switched. But before that, she ran a website called socialautopsy.com, and that website was a doxing website that documented online harassment, like that exists, and sent people's details to their employers and family because Candace Owens was so butthurt about hurty words on the interwebs. But she's based and cool now, isn't she, guys? Give me a break. Stop falling for this shit, everyone. And he pointed out at the time, the daddy of all the grifters, Ben Shapiro, destroyed the libs and owned them with facts and logic by demanding medical procedures for all. Gosh, so red-pilled and cool. So credit where credit is due, my man The Quartering is making some points here, and that is to be commended. Long may that continue. And in the words of Jerry Springer, rest in power, Kang, stop giving these people money and take care of yourselves and each other. Except for Keffels. Fuck that guy. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and share, subscribe to see more content like this. Thanks, boy.